Greetings, fellow barbarians. It is I, Alan Odinson, and this is the Barbarian Lounge podcast. I want to thank you guys and gals for joining me today. Got a pretty cool show lined up for you. First, let's get a little bit of that housekeeping out of the way. Our website is thebarbarianlounge.com. You can go there to find everything you need to know about what's going on with this show and the future of some of the other upcoming episodes we have, as well as some articles. We've got a couple of articles on there. I plan on updating that in the next few days as well, a couple contributing articles. So go there and check those out. Good reads on there. One of them's written by myself, the other one written by Rachel Summers. I believe Rachel Summers is actually, I know she's a contributor for the Revolutionary Conservative, which is Augustus Invictus's website. But I believe she's also an author, so, very good writer, very good insight on a lot of the things that are going on right now across the world. Matter of fact, some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today, she's wrote about. So check it out there. Also, you can go there. You can find the RSS feed for the show. All of our shows are updated there as well. Also, you can go to our latest episodes. I'm keeping those about in a group of 10. So you'll be able to find them kind of in a group of 10 there. And once I reach episode 60, which is not too far away, matter of fact, I think this will be episode 60, now that I think about it. Once I hit that, I'll probably re-upload some of that stuff there. So, so it's a good way to kind of keep track of everything we've got going on there. You can also support the show by checking out the Barbarian Lounge store. If you go to our store there on the website, we've got a lot of different items in there. We've got some medical gear, some tourniquets. We've got a couple different kinds of tourniquets in there. We've also got the Thuggy strangulation cords. A lot of people are getting those in the mail right now, and they're loving them. I was lucky enough to have somebody allow me to demo on them at the Blade Show, and they said it was quite an experience. So trust me, the darkness approaches quickly once the cord goes around your neck. So you can go there if you're interested in picking up one of those thug cords. Those are all handmade by me. You can go there, pick one of those up, help support the show, and plus you get a pretty awesome piece of kit with a little bit of history behind it too. So if you haven't listened to the episode Thug Life to learn a little more about the Thuggy and the historical significance of that particular cord, check it out. You can find it on our shows here. I believe that was episode 58, if I remember correctly. 58 or 57, something like that. My mind slips at times. Also, when you're on the barbarianlounge.com, check out the donate button. Now, that donate button is going to offer you several different things. One of them is going to offer you a one-time PayPal donation, meaning you can go there, say, you know what, Odinson, I appreciate everything you're doing. Here's a few shekels for you to put in the coffers to keep the show running, keep the lights on. So there's always things you can do to help support the show. That's a one-time PayPal donation, whatever you want to do. If you want to give me $5, $10, $20, $100, $1,000, your life savings, whatever it is, go there, donate, and trust me, it will go to good use here. We've already used a lot of those donations that we've got, as well as a lot of the stuff from the members to actually make some upgrades here. So we look to make more upgrades in the future. I'm looking to upgrade my computer system here very soon because I'm still running something from the Stone Age. So whenever I fire up the computer, I've actually got like a small bird in the background on a treadmill that starts running really fast to power the fan. So it's one of those old things. Fred Flintstone sold it to me for a few round stones. So it's about time for a new computer system. So those donations will definitely go to good use. Our members have actually, most of the upgrades I've made, because most of the donations have come from our members, most of the upgrades I've made thus far have been for the members. So, because, they got some skin in the game, they get first come, first serve. And you're probably thinking, well, wow, I would love to be a member. I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you how to become a member. The other option underneath our donate button is our Patreon account. That is our member site. If you go there to Patreon, you can donate on a per episode basis. There's a lot of different amounts you can donate, no less than $1 per episode. Some people donate $1, some people donate $2, some people 5, some people 10, whatever it may be. You can go there, make that donation, and you will receive several benefits from that. One of those being that you will get all of our regular 4 episodes a month. You will get those early, ahead of everybody else. I think the last episode, the members got it almost about a week early, ahead of everybody else, because I had some things going on. I wasn't able to upload it for the regular people listening to the show. So, you guys had to wait a little bit on that. But the other big perk that you get from that is you get 4 exclusive episodes only available to our patrons. So there's a whole other half of the Barbarian Lounge that a lot of you guys are missing because you're not on the member site. And I mean, you're looking at, on a per episode basis, if you do the minimum of $1 per episode, that's what, $8 a month? $8 a month to help support this show, keep the lights on in here, keep me fueled up in the fight, ready to go, getting guests lined up for you guys. Every little bit of support that you throw this way certainly helps the cause here. So, please, go there, become a member at patreon.com/The Barbarian Lounge, or you can just click on the link under the donate button. Become a member. It's very easy. We got a lot of new members this week, and I want to see them keep coming, because those are the people that I am throwing a lot of the time towards, because those are the guys that are guys and gals. We've got several lady members. The guys and gals that are actually willing to put a little bit of skin in the game, and they are greatly appreciated. And any new things, new items I have coming up for grabs will definitely go to them first. So please become a member, patreon.com/The Barbarian Lounge. Also, you can check out our sponsors, Odinson Archery. OdinsonArchery.com is the website. Traditional archery, traditional bows made from non-traditional materials. So you can go there and pick up a lot of the archery stuff that was absolutely wowing the people at Blade Show this year. The repeating crossbow, the Chokanu's up there. We've also got the Woodland Assassin, the Babyface Assassin, couple new packs, couple new arrows, a lot of stuff on there. Plus, online training is on there, so you can go and invest in some online training. A lot of people have been wanting to find a starting spot, and that is the place to go, my friends. So go there, check it out, OdinsonArchery.com. You can also check out Mitacon, MitaconUSA.com. I'm looking for my little thing here, my little sheet, and I don't see it, so I was going to have to go from memory. MitaconUSA.com. You can go there, check them out. And I'm telling you, Mitacon is not an energy drink. It gets your body flowing on the mitochondrial level. So, it produces ATP. That helps you get your strength up and going, helps get your focus up and going, get your energy, natural energy. This isn't some caffeine buzz or something like that. Mitacon is one of the things that I have been using recently with my powerlifting endeavors, and I am seeing the gains coming. I think I just recently uploaded a video of getting an easy, and I'm talking an easy PR at 240 on standing overhead press. So, Mitacon is a piece of that puzzle that I'm using. So check it out, MitaconUSA.com. You can also find us, real quick before I go into the content, you can also find us on iTunes as well as Stitcher. I've got all that stuff updated. Also on UCY.TV, Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can check out the Barbarian Lounge there. Alrighty. Well, that was a mouthful, guys. Let's jump into the content here. Let's jump into what I wanted to talk about. So I wanted to talk about basically what's on everybody's mind this week. The world, I say the world, the nation, I would say, right now. I guess the world maybe a little bit, but for the most part, the nation was kind of rattled a little bit with the shooting that happened at the baseball field where the GOP was out there practicing for their charity event. It was in Alexandria, Virginia, and they're out there doing their practice like they always do. It's early in the morning. These guys are out there 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, practicing before they go out there and actually play the game. I think the game might have been today or yesterday. I don't remember. It's Thursday as I'm recording this now. So it was one of those days. So the game still went on. But basically what you had was a leftist fucking wingnut show up there and was asking, hey, are those Democrats or Republicans out there? And someone's like, oh, it's Republicans. And he's like, oh, okay. He goes back to his vehicle and he comes back with a rifle and a handgun and starts firing at the congressmen that are on the GOP congressmen that are on the field. I know that Rand Paul was out there, and I listened to Rand's testimony. Rand Paul is one of the guys. I don't agree with everything he does. I mean, of course, nobody agrees with everything everybody does. But, Rand Paul is one of the good guys. And from listening to Rand Paul's testimony about what happened, he was just like right there at home plate where the one guy, what was his name? Scalase something. I can't remember his fucking name. I want to say Scalia, but I don't think it's Scalia. It's something like that. But the guy that got shot in the hip, he was just there where Rand Paul was at, and like Rand Paul had just left that spot, and this guy had taken the position and where he had got shot. So I mean, we come close to really losing a good guy there. I mean, all those guys. I don't really judge them one way or another about which way they vote and all this shit like that. But at the end of the day, this one guy, several people got injured, but I think this one guy, he got hit pretty bad in the hip. Last I saw, I've heard that he was in stable condition, and I've heard he's in critical condition. So I don't really know which way it is. Either way, he took the shot into the hip, and that's a pretty bad spot. It doesn't seem like a bad spot if you know anything about firearms training and use of force against individuals to stop a human threat. The hip girdle is a very, very good spot for stopping a threat. Very, very easy to bleed out in that area. There's a lot of things that can go wrong there. And I believe he took a rifle round into the leg. So, pretty bad situation there. And he was conscious and everything when he was leaving, and that's not necessarily something that's uncommon. So, either way, it was a pretty bad situation because you had all these guys out there basically completely unarmed, and they were pretty much sitting ducks. If this guy hadn't have had his security detail with him, because most of these congressmen walk around without security detail. But if this guy had not had his security detail with him, I've heard several people say it would have been an absolute massacre. And they're probably absolutely correct. But luckily this guy had security detail, and they engaged the shooter, a female officer and a male officer. And I do believe they were shot in the process, but, they're already been released, last I heard, and they ended up killing this motherfucker, which is exactly what they should have done. So, in the situation, it was funny because everyone was kind of wondering, like, how's it going to play out? How's it going to play out? Well, who did it? And all these things like that. And, when I heard it, I thought to myself, okay, GOP congressman on a baseball field, wide open, and somebody randomly starts shooting. My first thought was Muslim or leftist. And anymore, differentiating between the two is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Matter of fact, a lot of times they merge together very well. And, at no point did I think it was, some right-wing extremists. It's funny, I keep hearing about these dangerous right-wing extremists. I keep hearing that they're the biggest threat. Oh, we all gotta watch out. These right-wing extremists are everywhere, and these white nationalists, and these horrible people that believe in the Constitution, and these people that believe in states' rights and sovereign citizens. Those are the ones that are so dangerous. We gotta watch out for them. Yet, I don't see any of these people actually out committing any violence. Do you? Who are the ones out there burning cities down? Who are the ones out there throwing homemade IEDs with M80s crammed into glass bottles into crowds? Who are the ones that are throwing urine and feces on people in protest? Who are the ones that are burning police vehicles? Who are the ones that are shooting cops? Who are the ones that are destroying property? It's not very difficult to figure out what's going on here. And it amazes me how much the absolute corrupt mainstream media just embraces these domestic terrorists. And that's exactly what they are. That is how they act. it was only a matter of time before something like this was going to happen. And, you know, the question coming out immediately was, you know, like, what sort of weapons were used? You know, oh, are they going to start trying to do gun control and all this other bullshit? And come to find out, the guy was using, I believe he was using, I don't remember what type of pistol, but it was a 9mm pistol, and he was using an SKS. And it was funny to me because a lot of people were like, aha, you know, he's using an SKS, and I know they were mainly saying that because of the whole issue with people worried about it being an AR or an AK or something like that, where they could throw that whole, oh, these assault weapons kind of thing. You know, so even though an SKS can be modified to take magazines, but it, you know, people were kind of joking about it. Oh, he used a 1940s gun and all these things like that. Let me tell you something, guys. A fucking SKS is dangerous. I mean, shoots the same round as an AK, 7.62 by 39. You know, you've got your, you know, even if he's running stripper clips in it, which is an actual clip. So if you hear somebody say they got a clip for it, they're not joking. He's running stripper clips, man. If you've ever, like, tried to actually run stripper clips at a decent rate of fire, I mean, you put it in the top, push, they all go in there, clip comes out, bang, 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 bang. And when the SKS goes dry, it locks open on that shot. Same thing. You got it? Stripper clip goes in the top, push them down. I mean, it goes pretty quick. So you can get a pretty good rate of fire on that. But, you know, don't tell the gun grabbers that shit, or they'll be, oh, we got to get rid of those horrible things too. I remember when I was younger, in the early militia days, you could buy an SKS for under $100 at the gun shows. You know, so that kind of threw a bit of a monkey wrench into things. It was funny because right after it happened, you had the Democrat mayor of, or no, I'm sorry, not the mayor, the Democratic governor of Virginia. You had this guy up there saying that his exact quote was like 93 million people die a day of gun violence here in America. And I was watching it live, and I'm rolling on the floor when I hear this. I'm like, 93 million people. Well, if you look at the population that we have, well, we're looking at what, like 3 days before we're all dead? I mean, it wasn't 3 days. It was, I think it was like by the end of the week, the whole nation would be emptied out. Hell, that sounds like, you know, that would actually clean shit out, right? Jesus Christ. But absolutely asinine. These guys get on there and they automatically, before anything comes down, they automatically start, oh, we got to do something about the guns. It's the guns' fault. It's this and that. And it's crazy. No one wants to actually look at the people who are behind the triggers of these things. And who are the people that are typically behind the triggers doing most of the killing? It's all these fucking leftists, these fucking communist assholes, gangbangers, your Islamic people that are coming over here. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to even start pointing fingers at guns, because let me tell you something. You take the fucking guns away from these people, they will figure out a new way to kill. And even if you do take them away, guess what? The first person that decides to pick them back up again, they're going to be in control. You know, there's places all over the world where the people are disarmed, and somehow the bad guys tend to always end up with weapons. Why is that? You would think that criminals would follow the law better than that. But they don't. It's a strange thing. But, you know, they wanted to immediately start pointing at the guns. Well, it's obviously because there's too many guns on the street. You know, that's why. You know, it doesn't have anything to do with the violent leftist ideology that's being pushed out there. So, and this is the thing, too. Take a sip here. This is the thing. The violence of the left has absolutely 100% escalated to levels I have never seen in my lifetime. It's not something that is new, mind you, but in my lifetime, I'm in my upper 30s right now. You know, I've never seen this before. This is the kind of shit that I read about in school when we were taking social studies and U.S. history. These are things I read about that happened in other nations. These are things that have happened here in the 60s, but it's for me, it's something very new. And one of the biggest things is that this is kind of spreading nationwide, and it's growing, and it's becoming much more violent. I heard another thing that didn't get a whole lot of notification, but in Indianapolis, Indiana, there was a guy riding around in his truck, and he had a Make America Great Again Trump flag flying in the back of it, and he had a car pull up next to him and start shooting at him. That was, I think I saw that on Drudge Report. You know, so you're starting to have these things happening. The left is not afraid whatsoever to use violence. And this is the thing. You know, why are they so quick to go to violence? The reason these guys go to violence so quickly is because their ideology at its core is weak. It is absolutely weak. It doesn't hold up to logic. It certainly doesn't hold up to reasoning. And, you know, when that happens, it's like, well, fuck you, you know, and they want to fight, you know. I mean, we've heard it plenty of times. No matter how many statistics you show them, no matter how much you destroy their false ideology that they live by, no matter what you do, no matter how you expose it, document it, you know, take pictures, whatever the fuck you want to do, show them documentaries, show them history books, all these things, they will deny it. They will pretend it's not even there. It's like some kind of fucking, they got this weird like blind spot there for any sort of reality. So obviously when you come from a weak ideology like that, the next logical step is, if I want to keep this pushing, I'm gonna have to be violent, right? It's kind of like the old adage, if you got two guys that are, they say that like two civilized men can have a conversation and sort the differences out. If you got one civilized guy and one guy that's a fucking moron, he's gonna go quick to the fight, right? He's gonna go quick to fisticuffs, because that's all he knows is fisticuffs. It's the easiest way to settle the problem, and that's what we're seeing with the left right now. We're also seeing, for the first time that I can remember, a full communist leftist backed militia group, you know, with this whole John Brown militia thing. These people are around, and I think it is very, very foolish for us to just write them off as some sort of silly little, you know, Antifa fags that are not worried about getting, you know, they're more worried about breaking a nail than they are actually learning how to properly shoot a firearm. I don't believe that. I think that most of the videos we've seen online of all these different Antifa groups that are out there, and they're you know, they're putting up these videos where just they got unicorns on the bed and all this stuff like that. I think that is 100% disinformation. If you really wanted to make people believe you are weak and allow yourself to be underestimated, because being underestimated can be a very, very valuable tool. If you wanted to do that, you would make the most ridiculous videos of yourself that are that you could possibly come up with. And you know, when you watch these things, I mean, you know, the guy trying to load the magazine is like, well, it went in there before. I don't know what the problem is. These guys are fucking with you. And don't be so foolish and arrogant to believe that they are that weak. Their ideology may be weak, but if their ideology is weak, trust me, they're going to compensate somewhere. And I guarantee you, if they don't have the skills, it's very, very easy for them to attain them. There are places that they can learn them. That leads me to some rumors I've heard. I'll throw this rumor out on the air. I haven't heard this actually pushed out by the guy who gave it to me. So, but he is a very, very reliable source. I know that he's a good friend of mine whom I've done some training with. I know him. He's actually had me on his radio show a couple times in the past. No, it's not Augustus Invictus. That is not him. But he's been over some humanitarian missions over in Syria, and word has come to him through sources that he has in Syria. He has people he's very close there with who are actually trying to stop the ISIS invasion and stop the U.S. funding of the rebels over there. That's a fucking clusterfuck if there ever was one. But he passed on some information to me saying there is very reliable information that some of these Antifa groups are actually linking up with some of these rebels and getting trained by them. Whether it's here in the U.S. or actually going over there to fight alongside with them. And I tell people that and they all start laughing. And you know, I understand people like to kind of make light of things. I can't stand it when people think everything's a fucking joke, and it's like, oh, when they go over there, they're just going to get trashed, and all these guys are going to kill them, and hell, maybe they will. I don't know. But I think it is the height of arrogance and the height of foolishness to automatically believe that, you know, they go over there and link up with these guys. Oh yeah, they're going to die pretty quick. Never, ever underestimate what these people could possibly do. You have to think about, if you've ever read, Guerrilla War, it's a guerrilla warfare book by Mao Zedong. And, you know, it's very important to read these sorts of manuals because it gives you a very good understanding of the enemy. One of the things that he always talked about was that if a revolution was ever going to be successful, you had to have the backing of a foreign power or some other powerful backer to support your movement, to fund it, to provide weaponry, to provide training. And you can look throughout history and see this to be the case. All throughout history, massive revolutions and rebellion always required some sort of outside help. And the word is that if you do not have this help, well, how are you actually going to defeat a much larger enemy? Even if you look, some people are like, well, the American Revolution. Nah, we had the French helping us out big time, as well as some Germans, if I remember correctly. So, you know, there's always a backer there. Why would these people not go to a stronger, larger fighting force? I would think that they would go there to seek training, and there will probably be some concessions made. And I would not be surprised if we did not see the Islamic Front, or, you know, with ISIS or whatever. I would not be surprised if they did not use them as a means to get here, or even get some of their people across borders, or speed up the refugee process, whatever it may be. I would not be surprised to see that, because as far as they're concerned, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? These people have shown that they're willing to align with people, even if the people want them dead. I mean, how many times have you seen the Black Lives Matter movement out there talking about, we need to start killing white folks. That's the only way we're going to be able to get anywhere in this nation. And you've got these Antifa guys sitting with them, you know, there in the front row, white as a fucking saltine, standing there going, just clapping away as they're talking about killing them. You know, or they tell them, hey, guys need to go to the back of the group here. And they're like, okay. You know, and they march right along with them. So they're willing to make concessions with larger, stronger forces. So I would not see it to be any different from groups like ISIS. And I could see ISIS saying, yeah, buddy, we'll work with you. And they may fucking kill them when they get here. But either way, they've opened the door and let the enemy through. You know, so I would definitely keep an eye out on this and look for rumors of this. Like I said, this particular individual, he is very, very reliable, and I wouldn't come on here and say it. Maybe I can talk him into coming on air and talking to me about it some, but I guess we'll see. But, you know, we've already seen the left actually have some backing from, you know, groups like George Soros and a lot of these other larger groups that are pushed a lot of this stuff. We already know Hollywood and the mainstream media is absolutely backing them. You know, you got groups like CNN and MSNBC. I mean, if this would have been an actual right-wing extremist doing something like this, I mean, holy hell, we would be hearing about it all day long. But I haven't seen CNN or MSNBC post a damn thing about it since it happened. Okay? I think, well, let me rephrase that. I did see CNN with Wolf Blitzer do a thing where they interviewed like a man on the street, and it was supposed to be like a friend of the killer, Mr. Hodgkinson. What was his name? John T. Hodgkinson or some shit like that. Whatever. And the guy was supposed to be like a friend of his, and he's like, just want to let everybody know that, he wasn't an evil man. He was just tired of the politics. You know, Wolf Blitzer was like, okay. You know, like, he didn't say it all. Now we can't say that on here. You know, this was obviously something we don't condone. No, Wolf Blitzer just nodded his head and was like, yep, No, not an evil man. He was just tired of politics. So, he pulls out a rifle and starts shooting congressmen. What better way to show your displeasure with politics, right? I mean, hell, forget about voting. Forget about actually using your voice for something positive. Nah, let's just start fucking shooting people on a baseball field. How about that? That's a good call. What better way to win hearts and minds than to splatter blood and cherry pie all over the ball field? Yeah. So, a lot of people have been asking, with this whole thing going on, I heard people the other day freaking out. Man, this is the first shot. Civil war. We're moving towards civil war. Moving towards civil war. I keep hearing that over and over again. And I will say, if you've listened to my episodes on Civil War II that I shot a long time ago, I think they're on YouTube. You can find them on there. Look up the Barbarian Lounge podcast on YouTube, and I think you'll find the Civil War II episodes on there. But a lot of people are asking about that, and I would say that you could make the argument that we're in the building up phase to the actual Civil War kicking off. But I don't really know, guys. I really don't. The problem is there's not really enough people being affected by this. And when I say affected, obviously that, everything that happens in the nation, the thing that's going on with the left, obviously all of that absolutely affects everyone on the planet. But you wouldn't know it to talk to people, right? You start mentioning communists to people and they're like, what? Communists? There's no communists here. This isn't Russia. That's the kind of shit you hear. So a lot of people are still very much not in tune to who the enemy is and what their plan is. That they're completely oblivious to it. So when you have that, you have a lot of sideline sitters. You have a lot of people that are just like, I don't give a shit about this. I mean, they're not doing anything to me. Oh, they're not going to do this. When you have that mentality, it's going to be very hard to kick off any sort of civil war. I mean, let's be honest. If there's a rally and a bunch of right-wing guys start fighting and shooting with a bunch of left-wing guys, they're going to drop in the National Guard and clean both of you out. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. They will put troops on the street to clear out any sort of rebellion or insurrection, which both would be qualified as. So, I don't see us actually moving towards civil war. What I do see us moving towards is an escalation phase that we have seen in the past. What we've seen in the past was the rise of very dangerous, powerful groups such as the Weather Underground. I would say we're moving into a Weather Underground era. Now, could this Weather Underground era move up into the category of civil war? It's very possible. I think the thing that we have going on right now is with a large military force, they will probably roll in and and remove these people. When you look at the Weather Underground, pretty much headed up by Bill Ayers, who that was Obama's good buddy, by the way. Bill Ayers spent a lot of time at the White House during Obama's presidency. Bill Ayers is a 100% domestic terrorist. And you have to look at what the Weather Underground did. If you look at their ideology was communist. They were supported and worked with the Black Panther movement at the time. Okay. They worked with a lot of different foreign powers looking to, basically their whole goal was to overthrow the U.S. government to create a communist-run government. Now let's look right now at our Antifa and the left and their violence. I mean, working with Black Lives Matter, that's just a replacement for Black Panthers. They work with a lot of ethno-nationalist groups, like the African, the African nationalist group or some shit like that. There's a lot of similarities between the two of them. One of the things we have yet to see from our modern day leftist that I think we're moving to this era right now, which was something the Weather Underground was known for, is the use of IEDs and bombs. The Weather Underground, man, they carried out so many domestic terrorist attacks. It amazes me that Bill Ayers is even allowed to walk on the streets. I mean, they were robbing banks. They had robbed a couple of National Guard armories in the past. They blew up with homemade IEDs. A lot of times they used dynamite as well. They blew up police stations. They used sniper attacks to shoot cops. They were setting off bombs in parks. Bombing was the big thing for them at the time. And this is something we have not seen from the Antifa. This is something we have not seen from the violent left. This is, in my opinion, the next step that we're going to see. And who better to learn it from, right, than some of these ISIS guys out there, right? They could easily be communicating with them online to learn how to make a lot of this stuff. Hell, we live in the information age. Not all the information is going to be stuff that we want people to have, right? But I think this is the next step. This is going to be the next step used by the Antifa. Right now, we're seeing shootings. We're seeing the violence. We're seeing the fighting in the streets. We've already seen kind of the use of trying to make little homemade IEDs, but I believe we're going to start seeing bomb attacks from these guys. Because I think they're at the point where they are absolutely 100% willing to go big. And that is the next step from these people. I would not be surprised if you wouldn't see leaders in the right, in the right movement, the alt-right, whatever. I would not be surprised if you didn't see them getting attacked at their homes. I would not be surprised if you didn't see them getting bombs used against them. There's already been talk from the Antifa about using HIV-infected needles and sticking people and stuff. I mean, that is an absolute 100% assault. You do that is assault with deadly force. That is with the intent to kill. You die that day. You stick somebody with a needle, you die that day. Plain and simple. They're armed, they pop you with a needle, you don't know what the fuck's in it, bam, they should get shot right in the fucking face. That is an absolute deadly intent. Anything can be in that needle. Okay? So, this is the level they're willing to go. Yet, at the same time, they sit over there and talk about the violence of the right. I mean, you don't see, if the right was really as violent as they say, as soon as these Antifa rallies happened, they would see a mass of people with Make America Great Again hats lining the rooftops, and they would just open fire into the top of the crowd and clean them out. That's what the violent right would look like, okay? It wouldn't be, a bunch of little fucking fairies running around prancing, dumping trash cans over and setting them on fire. No, once the right gets violent, I guarantee you it's not going to last long. And that's what these people don't get. And every single step that they're making right now is doing nothing to help their cause run at the next election. You're not winning hearts and minds. You're absolutely turning people against you. But hey, if that's the game you want to play, have at it. But I think it's important to understand that the more the left loses, the more ground they lose, the more their ideology crumbles, the more these things happen, the more violent and the more that violence is going to escalate, is going to happen. We're going to see an escalation. It has been a steady increase to the point where we saw basically an attempted assassination against the GOP in Congress. I mean, people don't really grasp just how big that is. That is going fucking big. This guy knew he was going to die that day. And he was willing to do that. He was a member of Bernie Sanders' campaign. I mean, geez. If he was going to be fucking mad at anybody and start shooting, he should have found Hillary Clinton for stealing the nomination from Bernie. I mean, hell, I don't like Bernie either. I mean, fuck a socialist, but hey, truth's the truth, right? But these people are so fragile. These people are so beaten and whipped and so dependent on the government tit that they will just buy any little story they hear. So it's important for us to understand this about this rising escalation and violence from the left. And there are things we can definitely learn from the event that happened in Virginia. I've got a few written down here. Let's talk about them real quick. First off, number one, probably one of the most important. Always be armed. In whatever form it may come. Because this is the thing, I could throw out guns and everything, and Trust me, I advise you to have a gun. But if you cannot have a gun, please be fucking armed with something. Carry a blade. You know, these guys have to reload. If you have a little bit of knowledge on firearms, you can kind of get an idea about how long it's going to take them to reload, how many rounds they got, yada, yada, yada. You know, what is, all these different things can come into, account. However, if you can carry a firearm, you need to carry a firearm on you. And, you know, and this goes, when I say always be armed, it's not even just in the face of leftists. I mean, you don't know what these people are going to do for one, but, you know, you gotta look at the people they're supporting as well. Fucking Black Lives Matter guys shooting people in the streets in California, saying he wanted to kill some white people. You've got these, you know, even though this guy was aiming at GOP people on a ball field, I mean, this is right in a residential area. I mean, who knows how far it could have escalated? Nobody knows how far it could have went. You can't call those bullets out, call those bullets back once you shoot them out that rifle. Okay? So you need to be armed. You need to be willing to use that weapon if need be. And I'll throw this out there as well. This is, of all the videos I've ever made on YouTube, this is the one video that I think has pissed people off worse than the Lars Anderson video. I made a video on do not carry pocket pistols as primary firearms. And oh my God, the pocket pistol community came out in full force, right? And these are obviously people who have never had any training, never done any sort of force-on-force work and all these things like that. Because I think they think that I was just throwing this, I just reached back, picked it out my ass, and threw it at them. And that's not the case. This is from training. This is actually going through force-on-force classes. Get your fucking pocket pistol and take it to the fight. Let me know how well you do. Okay? I mean, my argument has always been with these little fucking, Ruger LCPs and, Kel-Tec, I don't remember what type of Kel-Tec, but a little fucking pocket Kel-Tec. You know, my argument against all of those, even the Smith & Wesson, Bodyguard. My argument with all of those is, have you ever looked at the sights on those things? And every time I say this, people go, oh, well, you know, the average gunfight takes place within 3 feet. Thank you. I mean, okay, if it takes place in 3 feet, good luck for you. If you want to stake your life on a statistic, have at it. But let me throw this out to you, okay? What happens when your average gunfight is not so average? If you want to be average, that's fine. But what happens when your average gunfight is not average? What happens if the guy's got body armor on? You know, did you listen to my episode with Ed Calderon? About how, the cartels are using body armor is like a common thing now? And these guys are seeping over the border right now? Do you not think that Antifa can figure this out? Do you not think ISIS can figure this out? You can go right now on eBay and buy some fucking body armor. Good body armor if you want it. Okay? Do you trust that little Ruger LCP? Do you trust that in a gunfight that takes place at 15 yards? 15 yards is not far. Okay? Can you make a headshot with that Ruger LCP at 15 yards? Can you make it at 25 yards? Let's talk about the ball field shooting here, okay? I actually looked this up because I was kind of curious. They said the guy was shooting from the third baseline. Rand Paul was in the dugout near first base, if I remember correctly. Okay, and rounds, one of the guys was hit like right there. Okay, rounds flying everywhere, dirt flying up. So, the distance between third base and first base is 127 feet. This comes up to roughly about 42 yards. So if you factor in how much space is off the, from the fence to the actual base, you're probably looking at anywhere from a 55 to 60 yard shot that you would have had to make here with your pistol. Have you ever done that? People talk about, well, if I was armed, okay, in this situation, this is not an average gunfight. You have a pistol at a fight where the guy's got a rifle. Don't fucking tell me you're going to charge forward, because you're not. All right? If you got to make a shot right then, hell, at 42 yards, 40 yards, you got to make a shot right then. Do you trust that little pocket pistol to make that shot? You know the answer to that. This is why you need to carry a fighting size pistol. I don't want to say full size because people will get all semantical on me. Well, a Glock 17 is technically the full size version, and I know you said that a Glock 19 is good, but you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm talking about a pistol capable of making those shots. I know guys that can take a Glock 26 and make good 50-yard shots, okay? But the difference is there's a working set of sights on those. Half of these fucking pocket pistols do not have a working set of sights on them. And no, a pocket pistol is not something that will actually, that you can fit it in your pocket. It's like, I can put a Glock 19 in my pocket, so that's a pocket pistol. So you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm talking about these little things that are no bigger than the palm of your hand. You need to carry a pistol that you can fucking fight with. Not something that you're going to shoot snakes with. Or shoot somebody in the gut with at 3 feet. You guys can talk about your average gunfights all you want to. That's fine. Average gunfights, great. Okay? 380's not quite as powerful as you think it is, but hey, whatever. Your average gunfights, alright, okay, cool. What about when the gunfight is above average? What if you have to take a shot from one end of the aisle to the other end of the aisle at Walmart? Right? You're at the grocery aisle. One end of the aisle to the other end of the aisle. Well, I wouldn't do that. I would just run for the exit. Well, what if your wife is at the other end of that aisle? And you've got a shot at the shooter to stop him while he's reloading. Don't try and justify your lack of preparedness. Don't try to justify your weakness or justify your reasoning for carrying a pea shooter. Okay? And no, I'm not talking about carrying some big honking, gigantic fucking dirty hairy gun. I'm talking about carrying a pistol that you can fight with, that you can make a good shot with. You need to be training at these ranges. You need to have plenty of ammo on you. If you've ever been in a situation where the odds are that you're going to be facing a lot of people, I can guarantee you I have been in this situation a couple times, and I never wanted to have to ask myself, do I have enough ammo? The first time it ever happened, I had, to tell you how hairy the situation was. I had on my body 30 rounds of ammunition, and I was not sure it was going to be enough. And no, I'm not Super Trooper that can, I expect one round should kill them one shot. If you need more than one shot, you need more time at the range. Fuck you with your cliche bullshit. Reality dictates how many rounds are going to be used. And, you cannot tell me that having more ammunition is not better than not having enough, okay? You also need to have training as well. There are plenty of places you can get that training. Number 2, medical. Medical is important. Medical was important at this event. I've talked about medical till I'm blue in the face, the same way I've talked about being armed. There were some people who were applying makeshift tourniquets. Those tourniquets saved lives. If you're not carrying a tourniquet on you daily, you are fucking up. Okay? You may need to apply that tourniquet to yourself. You need to have training in medical gear. You need to know how to use it. You need to have it on you. Your medical gear does not do you any good if it's sitting in your truck. I cannot stand it when I tell people about medical. They're like, well, I keep that stuff in my truck. I'm like, are you in your truck all day long? Like, is your truck attached to you somehow? I mean, it doesn't, what if so you're telling me that if you're in the mall and you get shot in the leg and you're bleeding out in your femoral, are you going to limp your way back to your truck and get your tourniquet? No, if the tourniquet is not on you, it's not doing you any good. You are your own first responder. Fucking act like it. Number 3, never underestimate. This is another topic I've talked about till I'm blue in the face. This fucking Virginia shooter, when they saw him, he looked like a nice old man, right? He was 66 years old. Looked like a nice old man. Didn't look like a dangerous person at all. Probably the last person they would have expected to actually whip out a rifle and start shooting people. Okay? We cannot afford to underestimate the enemy. I know people like to make fun of them, and I know people like to poke at them. Look at these little fairies. They're not going to hurt anybody. Look how weak they are. You cannot afford to do that. Not on a serious level, okay? I mean, I make jokes about them sometimes, but I also would never underestimate my enemy. You never know what these people are capable of. A lot of the bombings that took place, a lot of the really dangerous people in the weather underground were women. Very small, frail, weak women who they were the ones planting the bombs a lot of times. So never ever underestimate the enemy. When you start doing that, as I said, being underestimated is a valuable asset. If I can make somebody underestimate me, oh man, that just it gives me fuel to know that they're probably not prepared enough for what I'm going to bring to them. And we never want to put ourselves in that situation, because underestimating an opponent, it's not their fault if it happens. It's completely your fault for a lack of preparedness. Number 4, use your voice. Right now, we're at the information stage of this conflict. This is the time where you start gathering allies, gathering alliances, and really start calling these people what they are. These people are domestic terrorists, plain and simple. And while the mainstream media, who has the ear of most people, while they're out there telling us and telling people all day long that these dangerous right-wing extremists are the ones we got to watch out for, we need to be out there showing them who the enemy is. We need to tell them. You need to use your voice. Because I'm going to tell you something. By using your voice, you may, if this thing does keep going further to the point where we actually do see some sort of civil conflict coming down, if you have the ability to use your voice, you could stamp that out before it even got here. Okay? Plain and simple. Plus, if it ever does escalate to a shooting war, at least you'll have the peace of mind knowing that you did every single thing that you could possibly do from the information stage, everything you could possibly do to stop the shooting from happening. And you can go into that fight with a clear fucking conscience, okay? You got to out these people. You have to, when you see them and you hear them, I've done it myself. When you hear these people out in public and they're sitting in these little fucking bookstores and they're peddling their communist ideology to people around them, you need to walk up and fucking say something. Plain and simple. I have done that. I have a pretty intimidating presence to most people. So a lot of times I can shut these little weenies up just by walking up and try, not necessarily, I would use the term sternly debate them. Sternly debate them. That's what I do. And a lot of times you can disperse them. You know, hey, aren't you the guys that were actually causing violence downtown before? Aren't you? Now you've got a nice little weapon. Aren't you the guys who were out and shot at those congressmen while they were playing baseball for a charity event? You know, there's a lot of ammunition you can use, and you need to use it. You need to use your voice. People will listen. They're looking for people to stand up. You see, these commies aren't afraid to use their voice, and they've been using it for a while now. It's time for us to start standing up. That's the only way you're going to start pushing these people out of their positions of power. Don't think for 1 second you're going to be able to reason with them or anything like that either. These people can't be reasoned with. They can't be bargained with. They don't know pity or remorse. That's actually from Terminator, but same thing goes for fucking Antifa and communist left. You can't reason with these people. If you try and show them logic, it's not going to work. So when you're using these weapons, do not use it directed towards them. Use it directed towards the people they are trying to brainwash. Okay? You're not going to convert a leftist, all right? Number 5, no matter what happens, no matter how the violence goes down, no matter who dies, no matter what, the left will justify that it was necessary. And we saw that with this shooting. You didn't really hear a lot of condemnation from the left. Matter of fact, a lot of these guys were applauding this attack. All right. Oh, it was bound to happen. You know, all this shit like that. One thing I can say about the left is that they are, for the most part, much more united than a lot of the right-wing guys are. They're willing to open the doors and bring in fucking Islamic extremists. They're bringing in Black Lives Matter, and these guys are all willing to work together for a common goal. And I'm noticing there's some big events coming up for uniting the right. And I think this is a very good sign to see, because there's going to have to be some sort of unity. A lot of people right now are not interested in picking sides. And I understand that. It makes sense to me. I do understand because, I don't agree with what the right's doing. I don't agree with the left's doing, so I'm kind of in the middle. I can tell you this. There is going to come a point where you're going to have to choose a side. And whether you decide on a side or not, the unfortunate part is if you do not choose a side, one will be chosen for you. And that's not necessarily going to be a good thing when it happens. They're always going to push that they're not the bad guy. You could talk about Stalin, you could talk about Mao, you could talk about all these things, man, and they'll just no. Well, real socialism's never been tried. How many times you fucking heard that, right? You don't expect your leaders to do anything. You would think that with these leftist ideologies that are out there, that was behind the actual attack on the GOP leaders, you would think that they would come out in full force, ready to condemn any of this sort of talk. But that wasn't the case, was it? They're not going to do it. Most of these guys are only concerned about the next election, and they don't want to lose the next election, so they don't want to make enemies. As if, for some reason, the leftists are going to magically vote for them, right? But you can't expect them to do anything. The only time they're ever going to do anything is when their actions actually will strengthen or solidify the empire in itself. Meaning, if there's a fight between left and right, if it gets bad enough that the empire wants to take notice, they'll come in there and stamp it out and say, "Look, there's only one bird here, okay? Fuck you, wings. We're the bird, right?" So that's what, 5 things? Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's 5 things that we can learn from this event. I think for the most part, like, a lot of this is common sense, but it's still things. There's still people that aren't always armed. There's still people that aren't carrying medical. There's still people that are out there underestimating these people, and there's still a lot of people who aren't using their voice. Okay, we already know the left's going to justify shit. So their time is coming where even if you're not willing to play the game, you're going to have to at least have a position on the board. Okay. So even if you're somebody that's not willing to step up and fight, you're going to have to be armed as if you are ready to fight at any time. All right. That's just the level that we're at right now. So I'm going to make this the last call. Last call, guys. Last call. We're going to wrap it up here. So the violence of the left is continually growing. We explained a lot about that in the show today. The stuff with the Weather Underground. I do believe that bombings is the next step. I believe we're going to see the reemergence of Weather Underground-like groups. They're going to be setting bombs up in parks. They're going to be blowing up areas of affluent neighborhoods. They're going to attack police stations. All these different things. You're going to see this happen. All the leaders in the right need to be very mindful. They need to stay armed. They need to stay vigilant, because I am not of the mentality, as a lot of people are, that these people are just a bunch of kooks who are out there playing around with airsoft guns. I think these people can be very dangerous, and if anything, the events of this week should prove that they are absolutely dangerous and are they truly do believe their cause, to the point where they're willing to die for it. I mean, a 66-year-old man decided to walk out with a rifle, okay, and try to gun down the GOP. Really think about that for a second. That's where we're at right now. And it is your duty. It is your duty to be armed. It is your duty to use your voice. It is your duty to be ready and prepared. Because while you might not think this fight involves you, it is absolutely something that, while you may not want to deal with it now, your children will have to deal with in the future due to your own apathy and lack of fortitude to engage it now. All right? That's where we're at right now, people. So we need to really be vigilant and be ready for the fight, because I do believe it is coming. And I believe the next stage is going to become even more violent than we've seen so far. So beware the leftists and their IEDs. I see that in my crystal ball. I'm telling you guys. If they follow the pattern of the Weather Underground, which I've seen a lot of them do, that's going to be the next step. So be prepared for that, my friends. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. We're going to close this show out. I enjoyed it.
to be Anti-Media Radio with your